Hello.
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 Yeah, I don't know what it was doing over on the. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Now what's it doing? Okay.
Yeah,
Can you see me? Can't, can you?
I can see the bunny rabbit.
Oh,
There,
there we go.
there it is.
There you
Hello.
All right. Hi. Yeah, I had it at the table and it was too bright. It's kind of bright in here too, but it's all right.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't know.
I I believe I've got everything set up. I'm getting it sorted out now. So,
Yeah, I was just trying to see if it kind of connected and I didn't know if you were ready really. I was okay with it.
I'm pretty much it's getting set up and going
Okay.
right now. I believe everything's streaming. I'm not sure.
All right.
I
Hold
gotta.
on, let me get my drink.
Okay.
This table. Oh. It works real well on this table, but it's too bright in there, so
Yeah.
yeah.
The let me see here.
What happened? I think there I am.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I always keep having issues with like Odyssey and Rumble, and them always bouncing in and out, acting
Yeah,
strange.
right. So
I've got YouTube though going on, so that's the important part. As long as
right.
okay, let's see here. Odyssey, it keeps doing this weird thing where it doesn't want to uh, go into the stream.
Yeah. I don't know. All this stuff is so weird, isn't it? And
Yeah,
then my event, it looks like my event was on the phone, but then it didn't look like it was on my iPad that I put in there. I don't know what that was about.
it's all been acting strange like that for. It's not as bad in within the last two I'd say about 2.5 weeks, but it's been that way since the beginning of January.
Probably, I think it's been weirder since we had that thing with the phones, but I mean, it's always weird. So who knows? You know.
I still haven't really gotten into all of what that was about. I don't really get much into the news anymore. So
No.
I knew something happened with Apple, or not Apple, but AT&T or something like that.
Yeah, AT&T. But yeah, I don't know either. I try not to listen to the news because it's all this politics now, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of silly. And they're all crazy and they're all pretty so.
Now every time you turn the news on, they're talking about, oh, we gotta make it to where Donald Trump can't freaking be voted in Georgia. I'm like, are you freaking serious? Why is Georgia so important now?
I don't know. And then I really can't see Biden running again. He's not going to make another 4 years. He's just too old.
I doubt if he'll even make
Mm.
president. He screwed up so bad in this term. Like, and all the news places like ABC and them trying to make it out like he did so much better than Trump did. And like, he didn't. He did worse. You know,
Yeah,
he's literally thrown the country into a disaster.
I know. But then the media tries to pit us against each other, you know, and it's just terrible.
It's getting ridiculous.
I know.
I,
And you
I
everybody at each other's throats now too. So,
mm-hmm.
oh, went out. Yeah. And
There
that's
we
what they
go.
want.
It's
That's kind of
finally
what
on.
all right. Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry.
I wasn't sure how I was going to do here, but it was because at first when I got here, it was stuff wasn't connecting, but now it's all working. It's been working all day now. It just took a little bit.
All right.
Yeah.
I gotta hit record and everything, and it should be ready to go when it is. Is Austin coming in today?
He's going to try. I think he's going to come a little late. He went
All
out to
right.
dinner with his wife. So yeah. I
It's
thought I'd just kind of wing it again. I don't know. We can talk about some stuff at
yeah.
Miami want to, or I can also talk about
You,
actually Austin brought
the
up some time. I could talk about
There was
with.
one thing that caught my attention too. Like, you know, when we were talking about doppelgangers,
Yeah.
do you remember when you gave your story to me, your interview with me, and you was talking about having um, you'd always hear freaking cars pulling up in your driveway.
Yeah, that was at my mom and dad's place when I was a little girl, growing up there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and when you went to go check it, there was never anything there.
No.
So
It was,
it kind of made me think of what we were talking about last week when we were bringing up doppelgangers, and I asked you if you thought maybe it would be like a residual effects from like the past or the present or something like that that was repeating itself.
I guess it could have been a repeat haunting. What was really funny about that though is my mom and dad bought that place. My gosh, I don't think there was a lot of cars before then. I mean, there may have been.
Well, it could have been
They,
something. It could have been something that just happened within even their time. You know what I mean? Because it's,
yeah,
I mean, especially like with doppelgangers, they don't necessarily have to be ghosts.
yeah, they're actually real people, aren't they? I mean, I'm not sure
Some
about
of
that.
them, some of them. Then some like they have some people that were born and they looked identical to somebody that lived like 100 years ago.
Yeah, but it's not in their family. Yeah,
Right.
that's kind of strange. I thought tonight I'd talk about a little bit because Austin kind of reminded me. Um, you know how I said the house I lived in with the kids and stuff was haunted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the whole road kind of had this odd thing that happened with all the men there on that road.
Yeah.
Um, all passed away, so we could talk about that. I kind of just was, because men don't live as long as women, but there was only about 6 houses on that road, and um, I think
Uh,
maybe four of the guys ended up dying on that road
okay.
pretty young.
Well,
So that was odd.
let me do the countdown. I'll hit record and everything
Okay.
and get ready. So, before, okay, so here we go. Three, two, one. Now,
Hi, this is Summer Todd. I'm doing my show tonight on just some random things that have happened to me at the house I used to live in, and feel free to comment or tell me some of your experiences if you'd like. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna talk about the house I used to live in, the old farmhouse I lived in about 30 years with my husband before he passed away. We always talk about it on this show, how it was haunted. Um, and my son kind of brought up something that I had kind of forgotten about. On the road we lived in, it was an old back road, and they actually named it after the farmer that had the farm. It was called Robert's Road, and then they divided the farm up and built some houses and stuff there. So it came to my attention later, like because my husband passed away, but there was also our neighbor passed away, and he was pretty young. And another neighbor passed away. He was in his 50s, and our other neighbor had a bad accident and almost died. And then the one man ended up going to prison for a few years. So my son always was saying, it's the Roberts Road curse. So it was kind of odd. Um, when you think about, I guess, men always, they don't live as long as women, but um, we always thought that was kind of strange being such a small little road, with few houses. And actually I forgot about one of the other guys that died. So that was one, two, three, four. Yeah, yeah. And oddly enough, the house that was across the road from us, when I moved there, the lady there was a widow. Her husband had died. Actually, they lived in the house that my husband and I bought. It was a big farmhouse, so it was too much for them, so they sold it and built our little ranch house across the road. And her husband passed away a couple years after that, but he was probably in his early 50s too. So I just kind of thought that was weird because my husband was just turned had just he hadn't quite turned 60 and he passed away. So all the guys on that road that died were in their 50s, maybe mid 50s. Yeah. Except for the one and he passed, so I think he was maybe in his 70s. So that was kind of expected. But yeah. So we always thought that was kind of strange.
Yeah, that is actually pretty strange. You said what five? You can What I counted was about 5 or 6 people right there.
Well, yeah, I have to think. I'm trying to put this in order in my head because I'm kind of tired today, but let me think. Okay. When we moved there, there was the widow that lived across the street. She had lost her husband. And of course, he used to live in our house. So I think that was the first one. And then, we lived there about maybe 10 years or so. And then the one neighbor that I kind of felt like was going to die that came up to my house that one time, he passed away. And then a couple years after that, there was a man with cancer, and he passed away. And I think both of them, like I said, were in their 50s. And then the man down the street that was in his 70s passed away before I ended up moving away completely. And then, like I said, it just seemed like all the men that were there had
Mm-hmm.
bad luck because the one neighbor, he was out cutting a tree and he wasn't very nice. None of us liked him. He was just a strange man. And he was really weird. And so, but anyway, it was really hot one day, and I heard him out there. He was cutting like his trees and stuff. So I walked out on the deck and I heard the chainsaw, just like, it was freaky. It just was, all of a sudden it was just running straight, like he dropped it or something. And I heard his wife scream. And so I run in and get my husband. He runs over there, and the guy, he was up in a tree, and he cut the limb because I guess it was so hot he shouldn't have been out there working like that. He probably just didn't know what he was doing at that point because he'd been out there all afternoon. So anyway, he cut the limb and he fell out of the tree, and the chainsaw kind of wrapped around the limb and was just hanging there running. It was like something from a horror movie.
Yeah.
So my husband's over there and he's trying to help her husband. Her husband's on the ground and he was hurt pretty badly. And he fell pretty far. And they called air care, but it was so humid and hot that day they couldn't get, it was too cloudy to get the air care down. So they didn't fly the air care out. They got the ambulance out there, and he lived, but he was hurt pretty badly. Um, so that was another thing, it's like kind of what's with the men on this poor on the road for men. And I never thought about my husband passing away. This had been years before he got sick. So, but it seems like it caught up with him too. And then there was a guy that him and his wife built a house on their the the daughter. It was her mother's property, so, and dad's property. So they built a big house right next to ours, and it was just really a massive house. It's one of those big, beautiful homes that you see in kind of these gated communities. It didn't even belong like on this old country road. So
Yeah.
anyway, built this big house, and it was over the top. And I guess it was a little bit too much for them. And her husband started selling steroids, like in gyms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Antibiotic. What is it? Antibiotic steroids or something? That's not how you pronounce it. Antibiotic or something.
Yeah, I know what
But
you're talking about.
yeah, and so he was doing some stuff through the mail. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. He was doing some stuff through the mail, and I guess they caught him. And like I said, I was at my computer one day, and it said there was an arrest on Roberts Road, and I was like, well, there's not many people out there. And I was like, that looks like a neighbor, and it was. So he ended up doing 4 years in prison. And they almost lost their home, if her mom and dad hadn't lived there, they hi Austin. So,
Up
if,
everybody.
Hello.
It took me a minute to. It took me. I got home a few minutes ago, but it took me a couple minutes to find your
Yeah.
link on here.
Yeah, I tried to send it to you. So I was talking about Roberts Road, and I was just talking about how all the men kind of had bad luck or died.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
So and
It's kind of
the Ben,
scary. She's
yeah.
already gotten up to number 7. I've been counting, so
Well, and the Bendel, Robert Ben, or the Bendel guy was the one that he went to prison for 4 years. And like I said, his daughter and him almost lost that house, but he came back and I guess they got it together finally. But he did. He was a prison guard and he lost his job and everything.
see,
So that
that's the thing about those prison guards. I mean, I had a friend of mine, Noble. His cousin was a prison guard, and like all of his buddies that he worked with were like drug addicts. You know what I mean?
yeah
Just
yeah
straight up drug addicts and freaking just crazy as hell. And that's the one thing about that always gets me when it comes to people like that. I mean, prison guards are drug addicts. You know what I mean? Come on.
They're
right
just another gang like the inmates are.
right. And there was
Yeah.
another guy that actually worked with him that was doing like they were I guess making the drugs and stuff in his house there on Roberts Road, and yeah, both of them got arrested, and lost their jobs. And he wasn't too far from retiring because the states you can retire after 20 years or something, and he was almost ready to retire. So he lost. I don't know if he lost his retirement, but he lost his job.
And
So
that's what gets me. When you were talking that whole time, I thought you were talking about somebody maybe in their 30s or something.
yeah, well, he was. Yeah, I mean, he was what? He probably was only in his 40s, wasn't he, Austin?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but he'd worked at that prison probably from the time he graduated high school. So he was close to retiring.
Yeah, because you can retire at 20 years. I think.
Yeah. But and then also after I moved, of course he was older too, so it's not really weird. The neighbor, actually it was his mother-in-law. Her husband died too. Um, so but it's like, I mean, I know men die and stuff, but it's like all of them have out there. I mean, it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird road though. People stay there a long time
So
and don't move much. So
Summer, what's your fascination with men dying? I mean, it's
don't-
like
I don't
you
wanna-
just keep saying all these men dying. All
well,
these,
well, name a woman. Was there a woman, Austin, not on that road? No, never.
No,
No.
there wasn't.
Oh,
There,
well, yeah,
it's
old woman, Mrs. Roberts. Mrs. Allen. She did die, but that was
but I mean she didn't die at an unusually young age.
no.
No, she was
50s, like her husband.
she was like in her late and it wasn't really even in a freak way because I mean she was getting into her late 80s,
She got
so it wasn't.
old age.
I mean,
yeah. Are you guys there?
Yeah, I'm here. I think he just bounced off real quick.
Yeah. But I mean, it just was kind of odd, and then, like I said, my own husband was, like I said, he didn't make it to his 60th birthday, which that's young. That's pretty.
Is. Yeah, it
Uh,
is. It's pretty
And
young.
it happened so quickly, and so that was odd. But it's like the Roberts Road curse, right, Austin? But I know our house was haunted. I don't know if it has anything to do with
did
that.
you?
The main.
Yeah, I was trying to tell Roger the reason. Oh, I was trying to tell Roger the reason we were talking about all those men dying on Roberts Road and stuff is because earlier today you couldn't decide what to talk about. So I was like, well, maybe you should just do like an episode on haunted and cursed roads in our area.
Yeah.
Well,
You hear me, Roger?
Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah, it kind of.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Stemmed from our house, though. Remember, Austin, because they all lived in our house, most of them, like yeah, Mrs. Allen and her husband, and then the woman that used to be your librarian, was a widow when we moved there. They lived in.
Well, her husband died from stomach cancer, like
Yeah,
Dad did.
I know. Yeah,
I don't know if you've already mentioned that because I dropped in a few minutes
I
late,
mentioned,
but
but I mentioned that he died from the same thing. I didn't know that until later, but I remember it now. Yeah, yeah.
There could
So
be a
and I
connection.
think he died in yeah.
Yeah, there
yeah,
could be a connection, big time. Now,
because our was the main Roberts Farm house that was left on that road, and so then like I said, the woman next door, they built that new ranch house. The woman up the street, whose husband died early, they had a like kind of like a little modular home type thing. They built there. Um, now the one guy that died across the way, he didn't have anything to do with our house, but yeah. So that was kind of weird.
I think everything that has to do with that whole situation is weird from what I've heard from it. And, it just, it seems like it just one thing leads up after another. Now, is this in Oxford?
No, our house was in Preble County, which is it's probably only about 30 minutes from Oxford. We were outside of Oxford. Yeah.
Yeah.
More towards West Elkton, Ohio, but it's not too far from Oxford, no.
I'd have to agree with Austin. It might be a good idea to kind of like check the region out and see what a lot of the occurrences were that happened through history in that region, not just Oxford.
Well, the one thing that seems to be common is that Oxford had the Talawanda Indians, and I think that where the house that they grew up in and I lived in and with my husband was there was a lot of Indians out there too, wasn't there, Austin? Shawnee.
The Shawnee and Miami tribes were the biggest in this area, and then of course there was a number of tribes going back into the prehistoric era before the first white settlers ever came. So
Yes, there's that Indian
who
connection.
knows what happened,
Miami University is, and Talawanda Indians and all that. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Now, like on your
I kind of need to do a little more research into some of the wars between the. I already know they warred here with the white settlers, the Americans, and then the British and the French too, I think. But I don't know much about the wars that took place between some of the tribes themselves too.
yeah.
And then what their folklore was is like as far as land being cursed already may have went, because some tribes thought some land was already cursed from the get-go, and then there was other tribes that placed curses on land to keep anybody else from living there. So there was that.
Yeah,
Oh,
and there was an old house, a farmhouse behind um, the house that I lived in. Remember, Austin, that burnt down? It was an old. There was another farmhouse on that land that burnt down.
Me,
Lady
me and
that
Sam walked up.
told us about it because she had grown up there.
Me and Sam walked up into the field there where it was, and I think we found like some artifacts from it. There was like a bent spoon and stuff
Yeah,
laying in the dirt, and there was some coal. I think it had an old coal furnace because the house burnt down and they just covered in the foundation. They just had the field over it, but occasionally stuff that used to be in the house that was left behind would kind of wash up if it rained, and you'd find it.
mhm.
right, right.
I know back in the day, that's what they used to do when they burned houses down. Period. They just freaking burn it down and let it collapse down into the foundation. Because usually they had basements or cellars.
Yeah,
They let with the house. It just collapsed right down in there, and they just cover it up with dirt.
right. And I
That's
was
what
always
they did.
worried
Yep.
about
Hmm.
my kid walking out in the fields and stuff because I for cisterns or wells, and actually, my daughter went down the creek with her friend one day, and they didn't come back for a while, and they come back and they were all excited, and they were like, I was like, where were you guys? And they were like, well, we were down at the creek, and we love that there's a wishing well type thing down there. I said, what are you talking about? They said, well, we went over this well, and this wishing well, it's just this well thing, and we were throwing they were throwing stuff down, and they could hear how deep it was. And I was like, good Lord. I said, so is it open? And they're like, yeah. And so I went down there with them, and there was this well. I mean, if they had fallen in, I don't know if I'd have ever found them. That was on our neighbor's property, and he didn't have it covered or anything. It was from the old farm there. I think they used it for livestock or something, but it was a well, and it was open. There was nothing over it. So I kind of got mad about it, and he ended up putting this big cover on it with a lock and stuff, because I'm like, you can't have that down there, because our other neighbor, she let her grandkids play in that creek. I'm like, somebody's kid's gonna fall in there and die, or some person just hiking could.
What's to say it didn't happen?
I don't know. You know, actually,
very possible.
The way you're talking, I mean, you got all this weird stuff happening around there.
Right.
I don't know.
And I didn't want to be one of those Karen moms or something, but I'm like, hey, this is dangerous. Of course, that was that guy that was so weird, the one that fell out of the tree, when he was chainsawing. So he was a little guy.
I'm just now learning all these new metaphors and these new terminologies. Like, all of a sudden on TV, I'm hearing this word, oh, don't be a Karen. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Well,
it's kind of something that surfaced recently.
Yeah, I know. I just noticed it.
Women that are always bitching about some dumb little thing, just stupid little stuff,
It's
but really wasn't. I felt like one, but I was like, no, I have to say something about this.
Yeah, the term didn't exist back then.
Huh?
Yeah.
And back then they just called you a bitch.
Yeah. That was it. I would never do it because I don't like getting smacked by women, you know what I mean? But freaking
nah, it's not my thing either.
So I just
When it comes to your kids, you have to be. You're gonna have to be a Karen sometimes. You gotta protect them. I mean, you just can't have open wells all around your house and stuff.
it's the truth. Well,
Sister.
well, guys, I mean, you said it was a man, right? I mean, he's just sitting there. He's like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
Well, wife, they never had kids. I don't know why. He had a wife, and she was the strangest lady, but they never had kids. So no, I don't even think that was on there. They weren't even thinking about.
Hold on now.
He got out of Austin dropout.
You said that they had an open well, and he had a wife that was really, really strange.
Well, yeah, they were both strange. They still live out there, as far as I know. Yeah. Ugh. But
maybe kids weren't like falling into the well. Maybe they were throwing them in the well.
No, I don't think so. I don't.
Oh, I'm just going off of what you're telling me about this place. You know what I mean? It's like freaking maybe the kids wouldn't fall into it. Maybe they got thrown into it. You know?
It could be. It was a strange little road.
Well, you said that they were strange people, so.
Yeah. As far as
they were creepy.
Yeah, he definitely was strange, and she was too. It's just they had some with our other neighbors too.
No, I was telling your mom that maybe it'd be a good idea to do what you said. Do like research on the region and not just on Oxford, because it does sound like it happens quite a bit in the whole area. Even outside.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, maybe I need to expand it a little bit and look for like look for like Indian folklore surrounding that area.
There's a lot.
Yeah,
that's weird around Indian artifacts and also African artifacts.
What?
Because I
You,
told you guys the story about the thing that was in my office, right?
no.
Oh, okay. There was this. It was made out of this really special, unique wood. Because I worked in diversity affairs, and they moved us all over campus. So we had a lot of beautiful artifacts, but we ended up putting a lot of them like in an area where they were supposed to be held until we could get them, but we never did get into a space where we could use a lot of them. But anyway, there was this lady. She was made out of some kind, like I said, teak wood or something, but she was topless, but it wasn't, it was very tasteful, and she was very beautiful, and we had her in the center, and then somebody else put her in their office, and she probably was only, I don't know, maybe maybe four, no, about 2 feet high. You just sit her on the floor. And so I ended up, she got passed around everywhere, and people came and went, and so finally this one lady left, and I took it home because nobody cared. So I took it home, and like I said, after I took her home, my husband got sick, and all kinds of stuff was going bad, and I had her sitting right in the living room where he was at, when he was in hospice and stuff. So I got freaked out about her, and I took her back to my office when I went back to work, and he had passed away by then. I took her back, and I put her downstairs because this is a huge building, so there's a fireplace. So I put her over on the fireplace downstairs, not up in the center on the second floor where I was, because I didn't want her there anymore. So I left her down there. And then the building manager, he wasn't stupid. He thought it looked like an African artifact, which it did. So he was like, well, it must be diversity affairs. So the next thing I know, he brings up this statue and says, is this guy yours? And of course, my boss is like, yeah. So he put it back in our office, and we put it back over on these cabinets, office cabinets. And then one of the other ladies eventually put it in her office, and she was getting ready to retire, and she said she was going to take them. And I told her, I said, don't do it, because I think it's just, there's something off about it. If I have a picture of it, Roger, I'll send you. I think I do somewhere. And there's just something off about this whole thing with her. So anyway, she did take it home, as far as I know, and I don't know what's going on with her, really.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it's an African artifact and it's a statue?
Yeah, it's a lady, and she
if
headdress.
If it's a statue of a half-naked woman with
a little sarong on, I mean, it was very. Yeah. I thought it was pretty unique. That's why I brought it.
That's probably voodoo, some kind of voodoo thing.
Yeah, actually, I think I put it on a Facebook group or something I was on. I said, "What do you guys think of that?" And there was a lot of people said, "Ooh, no," because I didn't say anything about it. I was just like, "What do you guys think of this piece? I think it's kind of pretty." And people were like, "Oh, I get a bad vibe from Austin." But I don't know where he went. But
he's here.
Do you remember?
Can you see me?
I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah.
Do you remember that piece that I brought home, though?
Yeah, I remember it.
What did you think?
It was like a...
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful, but it very well may have been like a cursed voodoo relic or something. It's very possible.
Yeah, it looked like something you would maybe get at the Bahamas, when you go those places.
It looked African or Caribbean.
More Caribbean than African, yeah. And it looked the wood was very unique. I don't know what
don't be fooled by that. What you're thinking of as like Caribbean could also be Louisiana voodoo ritual.
Somebody actually.
Yeah, I mean, geographically they're in about the same area, so those cultures do kind of blend together. They're interrelated, intertwined.
And Austin and Chantel had some. Where'd you guys get the mask? Was that the Bahamas or was it New Orleans when we went on?
I got the one. I got the one mask in Mexico, actually,
Yeah.
which is about the same area, Cozumel,
And
the Caribbean.
your wife hates him. He's got these, they're like, what do you call them, Austin? They're kind of spooky.
Tribal masks.
Yeah,
Voodoo
try
dolls.
hang them up and.
Oh yeah, that one mask up with horns. It's like a Caribbean-looking tribal mask with horns. Yeah, she hates that thing. I'll send you. I'll take a picture and send it to you later on. But
put it in the special room because she don't want it in the main home.
I don't blame her.
She's giving you a special room. This is your special room, Austin.
Well, got this room full of facts, and that's
No.
Yeah, I've got all my cursed and haunted artifacts in that room, and she's scared to go in there.
Yeah. That's why I said that, is because, I mean, I have been listening, you know, like, I caught on to that. She's giving you a special room. This is your spot. This is where all the weird stuff goes.
Yeah, lock it up. I have a couple of them I got in New Orleans, I think, and they're real pretty. They're like porcelain faces, but they're kind of creepy. But
some of my grandpa's artifacts from World War II that he brought home from Borneo, New Guinea, are in there too.
He was in New Guinea.
Mm-hmm.
He was stationed. He was a Seabee. He was Seabee in the Navy during World War II, and he was stationed in Borneo and in New Guinea. He was stationed in both of those places, and he brought home some stuff from the natives that lived in those areas.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. New Guinea is where freaking they used to eat people, isn't it?
I think so.
One of the many places where cannibalism was practiced by indigenous peoples.
You know, I got to thinking about the statue though that I was just talking about at the, in my center where I worked. And the lady that owned it was Rhonda. Austin, you went to play at the bar that she owns now.
Yeah.
And she is having, there's like a feud going on in that town where they don't like her husband because he was the mayor. It's a small town. Mm-hmm. So there is some issues going on with them.
She was the one whose husband committed suicide too, wasn't she?
No, not her.
Ron?
Actually, that's weird that you mentioned that because she's fighting with the woman whose husband committed suicide.
My God.
Oh, I thought that's who that was.
Oh.
Yeah, never mind.
No.
Oh my goodness, you two.
It's life's fucked up.
Well, I know it's a small town, so and they really should.
I wish it weren't, but what can I say?
See, now
yes, sometimes.
That right there is just crazy because like one is got problems with freaking being with her husband used to be the mayor, and then she's arguing with the other woman whose husband committed suicide. So
her lady whose husband, yes. Mm-hmm. Strange. Yeah.
That is pretty strange.
But it's a small town. I mean, it's real small, and there's some odd stuff going on there. Yeah, I don't know.
There's always been odd stuff going on up in College Corner. From the stories you and Dad used to tell me from when I was when you guys lived up there. So.
Yeah. But back to the road lived on.
I was gonna mention too. You got to remember as well when it comes to like the heritage and all that stuff and the creepy stuff. You two live in Ohio, okay? And I don't know if you know about that, but Ohio is very, very. It's well known for like its paranormal stuff and its lore.
I didn't know that at first, but I saw it like a few nights ago. I think somebody was a truck driver or something. He said that it was really a weird place, to travel through.
This goes back hundreds of years too, though. This isn't just like getting on, the computer or watching
Right,
TV about ghost stories and stuff. These are like stories that go back 200-300 years ago.
right.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of history uh, in Ohio and a lot of old places too. Yeah, well, but even this town, I have talked about how much history is in this town, Middletown, about like the old Sorg Mansion and stuff like
hmm
that. Yeah,
Yep.
they have.
Oh hell, you could do several episodes about Middletown and the ghost lore around here just in and of itself.
Right.
That'd be several mystery show episodes right there.
Now
Well, and
Maybe
Middletown.
even a whole maybe even a whole series in and of itself.
that
Mi-
Butler County, that Taman, Ron Taman is one of the most biggest unsolved mysteries. I think, as a missing person, they never did find out what happened to him. So that's
now
strange.
Middletown. It kind of reminds me of Stephen King like story. You know what I mean?
Oh, there's a town
I'd
called
see
Eaton,
that.
Ohio that's even like it's right out of a Stephen King movie, isn't it, Austin? It's the old. It's just like
Eaton?
he filmed the movie up there.
Oh, Eaton, yeah, yeah.
Ohio, it's country.
There's some creepy stuff under the surface up in that town. I'll tell you what, and stuff I didn't never even suspected.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna. From back in my wilder days, I ain't even gonna go into that. But yeah,
Well,
it's not exactly a G-rated conversation.
But
Gee.
it's you can feel it. You can feel it when you're in an area like when we went to Key West. We've been to Key West a couple times. It's just so full of history. It's just you can just tell. There's a lot of odd stuff going on, and it's another place that's supposed to be very haunted. And you could just when you're there, you could kind of feel it in the atmosphere.
Just
So
mountains of energy that have been laid down from all the crazy shit that's happened down through the centuries.
you
I
want to
think
hear?
right.
is what a lot of it is.
You want to hear the weirdest thing about Key West, though?
What?
It's the
So
only place on this planet that has cats with thumbs.
Yeah, we saw them. We went to that who's the guy Hemingway's house. He still has several. They've just lived there and had kittens and stuff. Remember that, Austin?
what's
The
up with those cats?
the bipedal
They,
cats, remember they have all those
they have
extra
thumbs.
toes. The
Oh yeah,
all those and you were there with us. You went through that tour, didn't you, where they had the cats?
yeah, I remember it now. You
Uh,
mentioned it.
there were a bunch of them. They're almost all like that. And Hemingway's house. That's one of the big things that you do there. And then there's that weird doctor. What was that one, Austin? Gosh, I think I blocked it out. He fell in love with this woman, but she didn't like him. But she died, and he took her body and was with her body for years. What was the name of her? Marie. What was it? Gosh, I can't remember.
I forget what that guy's name is. We'd have to look it up because yeah, he took her he took her corpse or something and was living with it for years because he was obsessed with her, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he was screwed up, man.
And then there's that
He was
Robert
probably an
Hall.
he was probably a necrophiliac. He was
He was. And then there was that Robert the doll. We saw that in that museum. Remember, Austin? They said don't take a picture of it or give you a curse. And
yeah, I didn't want to mess around with that thing. I'm just gonna say that.
That's in Florida.
yeah, have you
Yeah.
ever heard of it, Roger? Yeah, if you ever look it up, Robert the doll. There was this guy that had this doll, and there was some weird stuff going on around that. He was doing weird stuff, and he would always blame it on the doll. So eventually, his doll ended up new because nobody wanted the creepy thing, and now it's got this whole story around it about
Yeah, we saw that just before we walked over to the airport to
yeah,
take off back for home.
yeah. We were at that maritime. There's a maritime museum, and yeah. So it's interesting. But I think Oxford kind of has that feel too. Although now, like I said, there's so much, there's so many new buildings and stuff in Oxford. It kind of feels different,
Well,
but there's still that history.
tearing buildings down doesn't get rid of the problem, though, right?
No, I think it might make it worse.
It stirs up energy that's dormant sometimes.
And the Miami University is now they're like $38 million in debt, so they're really struggling. And a lot of higher ed is now because you know, they've just mismanaged things, and people can't afford to go to college now. But that's not good.
No.
30, and they cut out 18 majors, which they're not going to have anymore. I mean, they're having a lot of issues now financially, but they keep building these big buildings.
Serves them right.
They're not being sponsored by MK Ultra anymore.
Yeah.
All those,
It was, they're all going
They,
COVID funding being pulled, but they didn't get that much funding from COVID stuff, did they? That's weird.
Not really. Actually lost money during that time because people weren't going up there and stuff. So I don't know what the hell they're talking. They're always talking out both sides of their ass and lying. That's just university administration bullshit.
Yeah.
What that fucking shit is.
it kind of goes to show, what people will do for money, though. Like, they're so desperate that they're willing to lie, and you gotta take that into consideration, especially when the government during that time period was just handing out free money.
Right.
Free money that we're paying back now with interest in the form of higher taxes and inflation.
And hell.
Yeah,
Well, I think higher ed there's a big, in the next 5-10 years, I mean, everybody's going to tech school. Nobody can afford these stupid big loans. And I think, you're going to see there's a lot of them that are just going under right now. There was just recently, there was a it's pretty prestigious that it's been around for 100 years. What was it? I can't remember the name of it now, but it's shut down. Yeah. So you're going to see more of that, I guess.
My big question is where are all of these ghost colleges other than Oxford? You know what I mean? Because, like, whenever we were talking about that, that's the one thing I thought of. It's like, how many colleges are there in this country where people think that it's haunted?
Oh, well, Ohio University is a big one because it's the oldest one, I think, in the whole United States. But I know in the state of Ohio.
I mean, haunted, though.
Yeah,
well, actually, it's supposed to be haunted, too. You're right.
Right. And then,
Ohio University is real big about that. And then I think...
we'll go on, Austin.
Oh. I think... I want to say William and Mary might have a lot of ghost stories and stuff because they're really, really old.
Yeah, that's a real old. And even UC, there was a couple ghost stories there. Actually, it was really weird. Chantel, my daughter, moved into a dorm, and it wasn't. Gosh, I think about a month after she moved in, I was reading in a book that there was I forget the first hall she lived in. Do you remember the name, Austin? Gosh, I can't remember, but the first hall her freshman dorm, they said there was a custodial worker ghost there. And I told her, I said, of course you move into this hall, it's supposed to be haunted. And she never saw it, but I told her, I said, yeah, there's a story about how a lot of people have seen him down there. So, yeah. And Cincinnati's kind of an interesting little town, too, because there's a lot of history down there, old breweries and things like that.
Well, we shouldn't be talking about Cincinnati, though. Come on. Seriously.
Why? Well, yeah, it's supposed to be one of the most dangerous cities to live in.
No, I said, like, nothing good has come out of Cincinnati after WKRP. That was the last good thing that ever came out of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati's a cesspool of human creation. Yeah. I mean, it's been ran into the ground.
Yeah.
dogs. What, Shiva?
They've got
Hold
shut
on, I'm gonna
up.
get.
My cat's meowing at the door too now.
No.
Oh, your cat's meowing. You got a cat meowing at your door, Roger?
Yeah, freaking her. She has dog barking and the cat's meowing back here.
That's
Somebody,
weird.
yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
right
both
back.
of them. Weird. 'Cause
That's weird they're doing that at the same
she
time.
started it at the same time. Okay, I got her. I think she'll be okay. Yeah. So, um, I did get the rat tape off of the dog. Did I tell you that Austin what happened?
Oh, no.
I did. Are you there, Austin?
I'm here. I'm here.
I Chantel said don't let Arthur, that dog, the one they rescued, just got some issues. She said don't let him down the basement, but I went down there and he got down there and he got into this. Dave has that, those pieces of paper that mice step on and they just die in it. What do you call it? Mouse tape.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. So he
Yeah, they get.
his butt. Well, I thought he just had a paper on his butt, so I tried to rip it off, and then he started screaming. I was like, "This is stuck. What's going on?" So then I realized it was this mice tape, but it's not toxic. But he was walking around, and you know how scared he's kind of reactive, so I couldn't pull it off, and it was stuck in his hair. So I had to get a pair of scissors and just kind of cut around it when he would be lying down, and I finally got it all off. But his hair is all kind of messed up in the back.
I told her. She told me that in chat, and I was like, I don't think I even know how to answer that or make a comment on that. Like,
Either.
I didn't know if I wanted to respond to it because just the thought of her having to run around peeling sticky stuff off the back of a dog's butt is just like, oh my God, dude.
Well, it wasn't on his direct butt, on his his hip, close to his tail. And then he was rolling around and being all happy and making it stick even harder. I don't like those kind of traps. I think they're inhumane, but
Did it
yeah,
hurt him at all?
no, it didn't hurt him. And they're not toxic. And I just, it was just stuck to his hair so I could cut his hair off, and then it finally came off.
I was thinking more like wax paper and freaking tearing it off the skin, you know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of like that. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? They're little pads, probably about the size of an iPad, and you put them down, the poor little mice and stuff get in them, and they can't move. It's sticky tape, sticky. I don't know. I'm gonna tell Dave. He should. I don't know. There's no really humane way to kill mice, but I don't know. I feel like at least poison is a lot quicker. They won't sit and suffer, but who knows?
Just to let you know too, with mice and rats and stuff, you have to kill them. Don't ever get the idea that you can be humane and let them go, because if they were born and raised in your house, they will always return to your house.
Yeah, when we lived in the farmhouse, it was in the middle of a cornfield, and literally in the fall, when it started to get cold, they would be like. The first year we lived there, they were running. There was mice running through our living room, and I was like freaking out. And my husband was like, "Oh, So he put, and I hate to do it because I love animals, but we always had to put mice poison in our basement. And he's like, "Well, if they go in the basement, they'll get it, and they probably die pretty quick." So, but if we didn't have that mice poison, they basically taken over the house, and cats catch them. But not quick enough. So yeah.
They breed too fast.
Yeah.
That's why they can't. The only thing you can do is put out traps and poison.
Right.
I mean, because they can. There's plenty of other places they can live, just not my house, because it'll take it over.
And they get in your car, or they'll get in your furniture, and they'll chew up wires. They're real dangerous too.
They'll get into everything.
Well, just.
I don't know why they all started barking and meowing at the same time, though.
My cat has been acting weird like that, though. Like, he actually came in the front door to eat a little bit of food and then ran to the back door and decided it was time to go outside. So that's all he wanted to do, was come in to eat a little bit of food and then go.
Is he older?
No,
Is
that's
he?
the sad thing. He's only like 2 years old.
Oh,
He's just a pain in the butt.
cats are manipulators. They're very spoiled. So, you know.
I've never spoiled that cat ever.
Oh no.
I don't understand why he even acts that way. My sister said the same thing. Like, you spoiled him. I'm like, dude, I've never freaking spoiled that cat. That cat, that cat is a mouser.
Yeah.
I make it a point if freaking he's not gonna be a fat cat laying around the house being lazy. Okay, he's gonna catch mice and he's gonna, go. And he's gonna have a purpose in life, is what it's gonna be.
Gonna have to, yeah.
Good way to look at it.
Freaking he turns around. He can come and go in and out of the house anytime he wants. He's never pooped on the floor. Freaking
Wow.
don't need a litter box. Just when he wants to go outside, I open the door, he goes out.
Yeah, they're kind of independent. They're nice. And you know the paranormal thing about cats, don't you? Have you always heard that um if they're in nursing homes and stuff, they know when people are going to die. And I think that's true because my father was sick in the nursing home, and the night we went to see him, they had a cat that was in there, and that cat came into his room, and the nurses said that's what that cat always did. And so my dad passed away. I think he passed away a couple of days later or the next day. Yeah. So that's kind of eerie. They're weird animals.
Yeah, that cat was always around other people before they passed away there. Too, back when we were going to visit a lot.
They're supposed to be familiars too. They're considered to be familiars.
What's that? Familiars.
Familiars. Familiars is like a witch's assistant.
Oh yeah, I know people do kind of equate them with paranormal. Yeah.
And well, no, I'm not saying that like witches are paranormal.
Well, like the darker stuff, I guess. I don't know, but yeah.
And
Yeah.
familiars is like just basically like a animal guide kind of thing. You know what I mean? Your animal guide.
Yeah.
Animal spirit guide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, dogs know a lot too. Dogs, they can tell when people have cancer.
Oh,
Starting to find out a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, my buddy Wilbur, man, he's scary sharp.
He is. He's smart. He's a smart dog. He can open doors. Yeah.
I have to get a video of that, him doing that sometime to send to Roger. Of Wilbur opening a door.
You almost lost him doing that, so. Yeah.
Train your dog to go open the door to your refrigerator and get stuff for you.
Yeah,
I should do that.
Yeah, they get into beer and stuff. They know how to do it.
Now that actually was a trained dog off of what was that? Lethal Weapon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Huh.
Mel Gibson, he had that dog that would go get him a beer.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah. Right.
Kept getting mad at him because the dog would get drunk and shit on the carpet.
Wilbur likes alcohol. If I'm sitting around drinking wine or I'm having a beer or whatever, or me and my wife are sitting around drinking, he'll try to drink. He'll try to get into our glasses of stuff.
Not good for
I don't know where he gets that from.
He gets that because he sees that you're like having a good time, and that's how he equates having a good time. And, like
That could be.
whenever I was real bad on drugs, I had a dog. His name was Bear, and he was a white chow. And he'd see me doing meth and shit all the time, so he'd go in the kitchen and fucking tear open the coffee creamer and sniff it.
Really?
Yeah, because that's
He
how
thought it was.
he thought.
He was wanting to party with you.
Yeah, he was wanting to do what I did. I finally had to stop doing freaking meth and shit. So finally,
Well, yeah, I would
That's
assume
I'm
that's
glad you did.
what you should have stopped
when
doing.
when you
Yeah.
when your
I remember.
dog's stealing your freaking coffee creamer and trying to sniff it, and you know he's addicted to freaking something, you know.
I remember. I remember one night years ago. I was getting out a plate and cutting some Coke lines on it, and our dog Soleil got scared and went and hid. Because I guess
Came from she was a rescue dog.
so I think she came from an abusive home where she saw people
Doing that.
doing drugs and stuff, and then they get violent.
Yep.
Because I think they remember more than we think.
Yeah, when we used to, like, if you would say a real bad cuss words like the F word or something, she would go and just put her head against the wall like she was hiding. Like, I guess she thought if she couldn't see herself, that you couldn't see her. Yeah, so you just kind of have to watch what you said around her. Yeah, she was kind of sensitive that way, but
I've actually gotten into arguments with people over animals because I personally think people sell animals short. Like they want to try to make it out like we're just so superior to animals because we're humans, and I just don't agree with them. I mean,
I don't.
you know, like intellectually maybe we can build our own tools or have our own tools and stuff like that, but like when it comes to freaking like our physical being, you know what I mean? Dogs, animals period, have freaking a better physique than we do, and everybody turns around and says, oh, we have the perfect freaking physique. The human does.
No.
No, we don't. We're very flawed physically.
yeah.
There's
Physically, we're weak. We're very weak in comparison to a lot of animals.
Mhm.
We use more of our minds than we do physical strength
Right.
to
But,
do stuff.
I grew up with I had a pony and a horse, and the ponies are, oh, he was wicked smart, and there wasn't nothing I couldn't teach him to do, and he was so in tune with me, because I was little and had him, and he was just, I've never seen an animal that's quite as smart as the horse. Well, ponies especially. They say mules are. I've never had mules or donkeys, but yeah, they're eerie, you know.
Mhm.
It's amazing. But and they use horses and stuff for people that have anxiety and things like that.
Yeah, I'm starting to use them for people with mental illnesses and stuff too.
Yeah. So, but anyway, get back to our road. I don't know what was going on out there at that road. It's kind of strange. Um, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
I can
You're
barely hear you.
You're real tinny.
He went out.
I'll just think what I'm gonna say.
He just.
I was. What, Roger?
I can hear you.
Huh?
You can hear me. If you can't hear me, I'll just have him tell me
There you
what
go.
I said.
You're coming
Okay.
back in now.
Say something.
I was just gonna ask you if you talked about any other cursed roads in our area or not yet.
We had talked to. I think we talked to Roger one other time about the light. Or we on the show we talked about that light, that ghost light outside of Oxford,
Mm-hmm.
on Oxford, Milford, and what's the name of the other road?
I forget what that's called. There was other stuff that happened down that road too. I didn't know. I just didn't know if you'd mentioned it or not.
No, I hadn't mentioned that. Yeah, there's that
Oh.
ghost light outside of Oxford. I mean, you can look that up. That's been on some shows, I think. It's on that one show where they try to prove it. Like, is it true or not? But they really couldn't figure out, any whether it was. They sometimes they'll figure out what something is, but they couldn't figure out what that was.
Well, it's like I
there's a
said,
ghost
that story.
Texas.
That story kind of reminds me of one of them that was on Unsolved Mysteries too, where they were talking about it, but it was a train. It was on a train.
Yeah, I think that's that. Is that one for Lincoln? Lincoln, is that the one where?
It's where they, you go down this certain track and there's a light, a ball of light that'll freaking come up out of nowhere and just follow you.
Yeah, yeah, I think I've seen that. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff out around that area. It seems like, um, but I'm trying to think of some other roads. Oh, we actually, this is kind of creepy, but I don't know that it's actually supernatural or anything. Um, US 27, it was actually in Reader's Digest, I think. It was one of the most dangerous highways in the United States. And at one time, they put a bunch of crosses up on 27 as you're going into this town called Hamilton or McGonigal and Hamilton. For all the people that had died, and it was creepy. It was just like crosses all along the whole thing, and it's still a pretty bad road. It's one of the main roads that comes into Miami University. Very old and just not up to date, and just 2-lane highway, but it's awful. So yeah, that's kind of creepy. So,
I'm telling you, man, freaking Oxford is just the capital of creepy, to be honest with you. Like,
right.
just the,
Yeah, it is.
Well, actually, it was would be your Uncle Austin was killed on that road, wasn't he? When he passed there, he was going between two bars. There's two at the time. There was two bars there. People would walk from one across and across the highway to the other, and he was it was my mom's brother, and he was crossing that road and he got hit and killed, and he was pretty young.
Yep. Yeah, he was only 27 or something.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, 27. So it's kind of a creepy road too. Yeah. Yeah, and that was kind of weird. Sometimes there's strange things that happen in a family over and over. Like my mom's brother was killed in a car wreck, and then her sister, I don't know if they were out wandering around on roads or what, but her sister was hit twice by cars and broke her leg and tore her leg all up and had some severe injuries. And there was two separate incidents, I think, where her sister was hit by cars. I'm like, what did you people do? Just run around on the road or something?
I know a family who always gets killed by trains.
It's strange. Sometimes there's like that happens.
Trains. I'm talking about like they die on train tracks.
Wow.
They get well, the family isn't really all that smart. They have mental issues like retardation and stuff, and then on top of it, they freaking like to get drunk. Walk home from the bar, and they fall asleep on the railroad.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not lying to you. These people do it. I mean, and it's not like one generation. Like I can tell you, people that were grandparents, and then freaking fathers and mothers, and then younger ones. Their name is Blair. Ricky Blair is the one that was like my generation. And,
now go on. I'm sorry.
And what they do is they freaking go to these bars, they get drunk, and they always go and fall asleep on a railroad track.
That's not a good combination.
No, it's not.
You know the story about Lincoln, don't you? 'Cause, Robert Todd Lincoln was on a train platform, and he was falling, and this person rescued him, and it turned out to be John Wilkes Booth's brother. John Wilkes Booth was the man that killed his father, and that's always a strange trivia fact about that whole incident.
That was Ed rescued Robert Todd Lincoln from getting hit by that train like like 6 or 7 months before John Wilkes Booth assassinated Abraham Lincoln. So
Yeah.
It's something
So
else.
the brother saves the son, but his brother kills the dad. So
Yeah.
it is always so odd to me, that whole thing there.
You want to hear something even weirder?
Yeah.
Al Capone was a freaking crime lord, right?
Yeah.
His brother was freaking sheriff in Kansas City at the same time.
Really?
Yep.
That's weird.
He's a Kansas City freaking sheriff.
Wow. Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
So the world of law enforcement and criminals are so interrelated.
Yeah.
But yeah. But it shows too how we're interconnected somehow. It's kind of weird. All of us, in some ways it's strange. It's odd how we have sometimes we'll have a tie to somebody like that. It's got to be more than coincidental, I would think.
Yeah. I don't think anything. Well, it's like last week when we were talking about uh what was it? I'm forgetting names now. Synchronicity. Somebody put a comment in your comment section say they don't believe in coincidences, and I agree with them, on it because
Yeah.
there's just there's too many things that are being blamed on coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
Absolutely.
so
Huh? Are you you fading in and out, Austin?
no. Well, it's 1 hour and 3 minutes. You want to call
Okay.
it quits because
Yeah,
Austin's over there cracking in and out and everything.
I don't know.
He's
Yeah,
like,
but back to synchronicities, and we'll wrap it up. You see it in history, something like that with the Robert Todd thing, and there's some other stuff that's weird. Like on the Titanic, there's a few stories that were very bizarre.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna go check that last video out too because there's a lot of good stuff on there that we were talking about. I think we should talk about too again. So
But what video was that?
the last episode we did.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Technology, technology and the paranormal.
Yeah.
What do you,
I mean, we always try to keep it divided up into topics when we do these, but sometimes the topics and the things the stories we tell, those also branch out into topics in and of themselves, because all these concepts and the paranormal, they're so interrelated.
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was interesting what Roger was talking about, that the stuff with the university. That was really weird. I've never really heard of that ultra thing.
Oh yeah,
MK
Ultra.
Ultra.
Or MK, yeah, that's very interesting. I need to look up, kind of delve into that a little bit more.
It was the doctor that was in charge of that mental hospital. Check him
Doctor-
out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, if you guys want me to wrap it up, unless you guys have anything else to add, or say, Austin, do you? Does anybody got any?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been wonderful. So we'll talk later. Bye.